Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Geek Verse review. I'm the Furious Trasnell. Oh boy. This is a Geek Verse review. I'm Trasnell. I'm here to talk about Hobbs Shaw. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs Shaw. Stupid title, but it's a great idea for SEO purposes and for people to know that this is tied to Fast and Furious. So, great idea in that aspect. If you like what we do here, or if you're just tuning in, you can check out some of our other reviews. Check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Check out, we just did a Tarantino Definitive ranking. Check out all our Comic-Con coverage. Next week, we're going to be doing a newscast. We got lots of good stuff. D23's coming up. We got the Batman fan cast coming up. Those are always fun. Check out our Spider-Man one, our superhero draft. The fan cast drafts are always tons of fun, and we get lots of fun interaction with you, the fans. So even on this review, if you want to interact, please let me know. So I am going to review Hobbs & Shaw, and oh boy. As always, if you've not listened to this podcast before, I'm going to give my overalls, a recommendation, and then I'm going to give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown. I'm going to have a nice sip of water, and if there's any pauses or breaks in the podcast, it's not dead air. Nothing's wrong with your... If there's like a break for like 10 to 15 seconds... something's wrong with your player, your YouTube. But if not, it's me taking a water break. There's only one of me. It is still, if you tune my boys review, it is still fucking hot here in Kelowna. You know, it's just ridiculous right now. It's just a back to back to back. So it was nice to hopefully get some nice AC, some really nice AC, and go see a movie. So yes, gonna review the movie. Give you what I thought, then I'll get into spoilers, and I'll count 3, 2, 1, take a water break, and we'll get into it. You'll get lots of warning. Hobbs & Shaw. So, quick overrun of what I feel about the franchise. So, I had not caught up with it until Fast 6. I think it's Furious 6. I'm not sure what they're all subtitled and titled, whatnot. But I had not watched them at all. My interest was piqued a little bit when The Rock joined them. I'm a huge Rock fan. Wrestling, that's one of my biggest fandoms. I watch it almost every day in my life here or there. I've been watching it since I was, my grandma said 6 months old, which is tough to believe. But according to her, that's the story. I've been to over 25 live events. Huge wrestling fan, but didn't get me Fast and Furious yet. But then I started to date my current girlfriend and mother of my, currently born child, and then soon to be born. Boy, 17 days left till this little sucker's here. That's crazy. So she introduced me because she's a big fan. She owns a lot of them. So I was like, okay. I introduced her stuff. She introduced me to stuff, and I wasn't opposed. The only thing I was opposed is I'm not really a big car guy. If you don't know anything about me, I don't drive. I don't like to drive. Nothing really scares me in life other than olives and mushrooms, snakes, and driving. And driving, I have done it. I drove not a few times, but I drove quite a bit a few years ago. Even when the baby was being born, I had to drive. Adrenaline kicks in, but just a paranoid thing. And even then, I don't really... People tell me, oh, look at them, or they're talking about gears or whatever is under the hood. I don't care at all. But, so started watching these movies. I'd say the first 3 are all kind of all right to meh. I'm not a big fan of the sequels. Fast and Furious is fine, but as everyone said, it's a Point Break remake with some, I'd say, kind of like lower tier actors, in my opinion. And then from 4 on up, and everyone says Fast 5, which I agree, that is the best one. Rock just injected something the franchise needed. But Fast 4 is really, I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. And I was really falling in love with the characters. And I think that's what most people say about this franchise. As you look at all these movies, and of course, they do some unique action. They have some great set pieces, some great car races, whatnot. But I think what people have glommed onto is the characters, the family aspect. But even then, the family aspect is kind of a joke and a meme nowadays. That is a thing. That is, you feel connected to these characters, to what they've gone through, the twists and turns. And as it's gone on, it has gotten definitely a lot more, I would say, cheesy and a little more dumber. But for me, it's always stayed in a sort of realm. There's sort of verisimilitude about it. Screwed up that word. My uncle used to always say that word, so I was trying to tribute him. Shout out to my Uncle Jerry. Verisimilitude. I think if I just say it quickly, it doesn't matter. Verisimilitude. Getting better. There is just something about it where there was... I always felt a perfect balance. And so with Fast 8, you can go back. We reviewed that. That's, I think, the only one we've ever reviewed because that's when we were doing the podcast. I felt that, and Kyle was on that review with me as well. I think we felt that we still really enjoyed it. There's some good things, but we felt it was starting to seep more in that territory of, like I said, like a Thanos, perfectly balanced. You had that melodrama, dramatic family acting, some plot twists and turns, and then you had their driving cars on ice, and there's a submarine, and there's Charlize Theron with dreads, and she has these elaborate plans, and there's God's Eye, and all this stuff. And then you had some great cameos around. So I always thought there was a good balance, but 8 was starting to lean more into we're doing the cheesy kind of 80s action style. And that's fun. That can be fun. But I preferred what we were a little bit more. A little sophisticated cheese. You know, not the cheap cheese. The cheese, the old cheddar cheese you pay for. Something that's a bit better. But it was still enough where I really much enjoyed it. And the best part about that movie was the dynamic between The Rock and Jason Statham. And I remember me and Kyle and many others around the world were saying, man, they should just make a movie about them too. And we say that all the time with DC or Marvel. You look at Thor and Guardians, like they should just make an as Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, we always pitch these fantasy ideas. Water break. So when they announced that this movie's happening, it's literally as if you're a fan of this franchise, it's like a dream come true in a, first world sort of way, but it's like a dream come true. You're like, man, they should just do this. And they're doing. We had heard for years they're going to do a Hobbs spinoff, but I always felt, I like The Rock and I like Hobbs, but is that enough for a solo movie? Right when they introduced Deckard Shaw and they gave them this little team up, then it was like, okay. And if that's the team we're spinning off to, that is the je ne sais quoi you needed to fully launch this franchise. And I just remember thinking, man, this is awesome. They're doing it. They've announced a spinoff, and they're just going to, they take what the fans wanted and they're making it. So I applaud them for that. This movie, it's really tough. But what I can say, the two things off the bat is I feel dumber for watching it. And two, about the dumbness is, as we were talking about earlier, Fast and Furious, there is some dumb and cheesy moments, but there's usually for me enough of the other things, whether it's the humor, whether it is the character dynamics, whether it is some actual melodrama or dramatic, some serious stuff going on. I feel invested in the world. I still feel this is somewhat a real world. Like I said, as the franchise goes on and on, it escapes that. This is so out there and so wild and so kind of dumb. Maybe it's not Crank style if you're talking about Jason Statham, but as far as this world goes, this is, if you were to take out GoldenEye, and maybe Tomorrow Never Dies, Pierce Brosnan's run as James Bond, The World's Not Enough and Die Another Day, if you take those two movies, and you said, we're going to make a 2019 version of those movies, this is it. It has the awful, awful dialogue at times. It has cheese and dumb moments, but to the point where it's, I did enjoy my time seeing this movie, but after I walked out, I went, I didn't need to see this in the theater. I didn't need to spend $13 on it, but I wanted to because I was very excited for it. But that's the point where it wasn't fun enough for me to feel, I really got my money's worth. The dumbness fully outweighed the fun stuff. And I think that's what happens in Fast and Furious, where there were eye roll moments, or there's some like Kyle got really mad, I think the last one, because he's a big car fan, about like Dom Toretto winning some race, driving backwards and whatnot. He said, that doesn't work. It wouldn't do that. But the thing was, I felt for both of us, there was enough good stuff to kind of override that. Where this, I don't think that is the case here. I think a lot of the times, and it pains me to say this, because like I said, I'm a massive Rock fan. Jason Statham, one of the best action stars. I'm a massive, massive Crank fan. Chev Chelios is my guy. Give me Crank 3. Vanessa Kirby, who is on my superhero draft, I think she is, since I've seen her about time, been like, she's going to break out. There's been rumors from like smaller websites that she could be Catwoman. That is pitch perfect casting. She is going to be a big star whether she's Catwoman or not. And there's some other cast members which we'll talk about. There's some fun cameos in here. Won't spoil. Talk about it in spoilers. But there just still was not enough. It was still missing something. And it felt like they wrote a script and there were certain problems in it, or certain logic jumps that didn't make sense, logic leaps, or just storylines that they either drop or don't really expand upon. And, and Idris Elba, another great actor. They just kind of go, should we flesh this out? And they go, no, because we have The Rock, we have Statham, we have Idris Elba, we have these great, and we got Vanessa Kirby, who is newer, but I think for this type of franchise, it'll be like, she's a good-looking broad. Because there's lots of still, like, ass shots, and there's literally one moment where two people that are trying to be love interests, like, it's kind of like a will they, won't they, and she has to get on top of him, but she's straddling him, and it, like, pauses in a slow motion. And it's just like 80s kind of cringe stuff where it's like, this movie got made like these past 2 years. all right, I guess. Where I feel, Fast and Furious still definitely has those, but this still had that to that. This felt more in the face, I feel Fast and Furious does that more with the dance scenes or at the race cars and whatnot. But then once we move away, but this has happened a few times, and not in a way where it offended me, where it's just like, this is just kind of lame, and this is all the best we got. Okay. So it's just so outrageous and outlandish that I feel that they go, everyone's going to love these stars, seeing these pairings, especially some of these cameos as well. They're going to love just seeing these people on screen. We don't have to care. It's kind of, I don't want to say this either and get some people mad at me, but it's similar to some of the BVS stuff. I feel sometimes with Batman vs. Superman or Justice League, the DCU stuff, was just, hey, people love these characters and they're not going to care. We're just going to throw it on the screen. I think Justice League, people were surprised at Bond because, like, it can't. It has Superman and Flash and Wonder Woman. Just alone, that's $1 billion movie. And it didn't. It did very poorly. And I think that was just banking on the audience thinking, oh, these people love these characters. They know these characters. They won't care. And I think that's what this movie kind of is. It has the love of the other movies going in, so it's going to be a big hit. I even think if they made a second one, it would be a big hit. But I think eventually the crowd would wear tire of these, other than they do plug in some new people that have not been advertised, so that could keep it going. And it's definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't know if it's the worst, and I won't say the worst movie this year. I just mean the worst movies that I've seen, because I see a select few. We do review a lot on the podcast, but there's so many movies I haven't seen. But as far as the podcast, and that's the thing, I don't even know if I want to say worse. It's just very disappointing, and that's been a big thing in 2019. Movies aren't terrible. They just disappointed me, like, left, right, and center. There's only been a few, like Golden Geeks last year, which is our award show we do here at the podcast at the end of every year. Last year was like, what am I going to do? I have so many movies I don't want to bump. This year, it's pretty easy for me. There's like strong, like 3 to 4. The year's definitely not over, but still, it's just like, it's been very disappointing, and I throw that in this category because I was looking so forward to this spinoff. You can go back to our reviews. Just, I want a movie of that, and I got it, and I felt like they did enough work to make it fun, but not enough to really make me care. Like I said, I felt kind of dumber, and the fact is I was coming in here expecting a dumb action movie, and I got that, but still this was the point where, if, again, as I already said, if this was not these stars, if it was not these likable team-ups that we've never seen before, or likable people like Statham and The Rock, Idris Elba, people outside the world, we go, that's a cool guy, or I want to see him do that. If this was just a straight-to-DVD movie, same budget, same effects, everything like that, everything's the exact same, just replaced with different actors, I think this would, one, not be as successful, and two, I actually haven't looked at how reviews are doing because I didn't really care about this. I knew I was seeing it. But I would think that people would not give it the benefit of the doubt. And that's the thing where you look at Fast and Furious, Paul Walker, Tyrese, Michelle Rodriguez, Ludacris, even Vin Diesel to an extent, they're not massive stars. And Fast 7, yes, did have Paul Walker passing away, but still, that was $1 billion movie. That was a huge hit. Same with Fast 8. They built it on the characters, where I feel this is them trying to build it on the actors, and they're just having to be portraying these characters, because they give some motivation to some characters. I'm not even looking for that in this, but they do things or they write things off so quickly, it doesn't even feel like they care. It just feels like they want to jump from action set piece to action set piece, or set piece of Rock and Jason Statham bantering back and forth. Water break. Oh, H2O, guys and girls. H2O. And that stuff's good. There's action. It's good. It's fun. I'm not a big action guy. I like kind of the more stylized stuff. That's why I like comic movies, or I like more hand-to-hand. You have that with Jason Statham, but there's a lot of CGI, especially bagged on some of the Marvel stuff. It's like there's a lot of, like, there's one, the ending set piece in particular is like all CGI because it's just impossible what you could do. Let's see. The humor, I'd say, honestly, is a 50-50. It's because when you look at Rock and Statham in the other movies, they're together, but it's only for a small point. This is them together for the majority of the movie, so they're constantly, it's like a stand-up comedian, constantly throwing out material. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I think Jason Statham at the beginning of the movie has some really terrible lines, and Rock gets all the good ones. But I think anytime they're together, insulting each other, that works. I think Vanessa Kirby, you can say I'm biased because I've talked about how I'm a bigger fan of her, but really I've not seen her that much. About Time, some other little rom-com. I didn't watch The Crown, and Mission Impossible. She just has an aura about her, and I think she is honestly the best part of this movie. I can say Rock and Statham, but I think it's just because some character stuff they do with them that I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I won't say she's the best. but she's equal because those two are fun together. But she fits more in the Fast and Furious world where she's reacting and having fun, cheesy, dumb moments, but there's still seriousness about her, where the other two are just off in cuckoo 80s action land, and that's fine. Idris Elba, if you're worried about the superhero stuff, and because if you've seen from the trailers, he has like enhancements and whatnot, I thought they handled that pretty well, because at first I was like, do I really need superheroes in Fast and Furious, that sort of deal? And they make it kind of real worldy enough. You still got to suspend your disbelief, but you should already be doing it Fast and Furious. Yeah. Before I get into spoilers, I don't know if there's anything else if I would recommend it to. If you're a diehard Fast fan, or if you just like the franchise a lot, you've watched them all in theaters, or you want to keep up with them, go see it. And I think your enjoyment level may vary. This is not one where I could go, I can't believe you couldn't like that. I could see someone, and I still liked it to an extent. I was just disappointed because I felt with all the talent on the screen and behind the camera, they could have done something a bit more, even in the vein of this cheesy action. This still, like I said, feels like much lower tier of people that aren't that talented doing these type of movies, which sucks because these are all really, really talented people. And I'm really disappointed because I just wanted a really fun time in the theaters, and I had that. Me and Emily had it sometimes where we just laughed, like, oh, could you believe this? And I think I'll watch this again when I marathon the Fast. Like, it's not outrageously bad. It's just kind of disappointing and mind-numbing, and like, okay, this is really dumb, like almost too dumb at times. Yeah, so if you're a diehard Fast fan, but even then, so if you're kind of like me where you're a fan, but it's not one of your all-time favorite franchises, I think you could do a cheap Tuesday, or you could honestly wait till on Netflix and whatnot. You may get spoiled on some of the cameos, but it's nothing big, and there's some that were even rumored, so depending on the circles you run in, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably heard some of those rumored podcasts, or those rumored, oh my goodness, rumored actors. So, I'm going to take my water break. 3, 2, 1... Spoilers time. I don't have much to talk about spoilers, guys. We'll talk about some of the... So I'll talk about some of the things that bother me quickly. And this is where I was talking about earlier of just them throwing stuff out the window. You got Rock's family. Roman Reigns there. Great. Roman Reigns, like Deadpool 2 says, no speaking lines. You got some Deadpool 2 stuff going on. You got Peter in here. You got Ryan Reynolds. So I think for all of them, I have something that didn't really work, and then the rest of the movie is just kind of little stuff like this is cheesy. They didn't care about this kind of lame dialogue, whatnot. And like I said, I kind of expect that from Fast and Furious sometimes. So I'm still expecting this from this, and I still didn't enjoy it as much as those other ones. This is definitely in the lower tier. Like for me, Fast 4 is when the franchise goes on an upswing, and I always put Fast 5 at the top, and the rest are kind of somewhere in there. And then the bottom 3 are definitely the bottom 3. I think this would be. It's mixed in there. I can't even say it's better than those, in my opinion. It's kind of mixed in there. It might be, I'd say Fast and Furious is the best of those, so it's definitely bottom tier. And I have the biggest problems for one character individual, but I have a lot of little ones that I might shut out, but at the end of the day, you gotta have to do a commentary track to say, I didn't like that, I didn't laugh at that. And that's another thing, too. I think if you laugh at almost every joke, you'd enjoy this a lot more, where I didn't, so ratio 50-50 kind of hurts you. Oh, I wanted to start with The Rock, but I don't remember why I wanted to start with The Rock. Yeah, I can't. So I'm going to switch over and go to Vanessa Kirby's character. It is established. She's a CIA agent, and they kind of insinuate that she stopped talking to her brother because we learned in this movie he was framed for a crime, which I'm going to get into. And it's also, to me, it was kind of insinuated that she's chosen a different life. Her family's a criminal and she wants to do something else. She goes through all this stuff. That's fine. Her mission, because she saves the world. And they save the world in this. That's how it is, very much like James Bond, that Pierce Brosnan era. They save the world from a virus. And she's full on this mission because she's CIA and a good guy. At the end, you can say whatever you want. Who knows in a sequel. But she's helping her mom get broken out of jail. And it's feel like she's completely turned the curb. So that's one of, like, she starts as a CIA agent, kind of fun foil, as like her brother's a criminal, she's not. But at the end, she's just a criminal. Why? I don't know. She just is now. So that's cool. And this is where I worried about Fast 8, because I remember I was worried when all this stuff happened. Jason Statham helped the good guys up, and they're doing the family barbecue, and Jason Statham shows up. And if you've not watched these movies, Jason Statham killed one of their family members, because it is true that a character set Deckard Shaw's family and Vin Diesel's family against each other. Now, there was someone pulling the strings, but at the same time, you did kill Han. And she's going on and on, and this is about back to pronouns pal, back to what was her name? I can't remember, but Vanessa Kirby's character, his sister, about, oh, I believed you were a bad man, but you are a good man. You didn't kill his people, because Idris Elba, the villain in this movie, frames, and they have some history where they're in the war together, blah, blah, blah. Just some Idris Elba, the same thing. I felt like they just cast him because we have a really lame generic villain. Throw Idris Elba in there. He's a cool cat and everyone likes him, and that's literally what it feels like he got in there, because it's very bland, especially for Idris Elba. I don't think it's against him. It's just the dialogue and the script that I wanted more from that, and not even a deep character, just some more fun shooting the scenery. I don't think we get enough of him, so that was disappointing. But he framed Jason Statham and said that he killed his whole CIA team and blah blah blah. And they had this Statham and his sister had this heart-to-heart about, oh, I didn't do that. And then he goes like, oh, I've done some things I regret and I have to atone for my sins. He didn't die. He didn't go to prison. He didn't do anything. He's killed. And yeah, maybe Han's not an innocent man, but in our world, he's like more of the good guy criminal. And he just killed him straight up. And same thing, like at the end of the movie, Hobbs and him are buddy-buddy. They're calling each other, joking around, which the on-running joke, I think did not go good as far as like calling the cops and getting people detained. And the Ryan Reynolds stuff, which we'll get into. That's all we get from this Han stuff. And that's where I knew with 8, I had a feeling like, they don't really care about this universe. But I always thought, you know what? They don't care about the in-depth little details anymore. At one point they did. Now it's more about the spectacle. And I thought with 8 was turning that way. But I thought, you know what? In 9 or a spinoff, they could get him to talk about Han and maybe have some sort of come to Jesus moment. No, it's 2 lines, and that's it. And that's where it's just dumb as far as... She's in the CIA, but at the end, why is she helping up a bunch of criminals? After the mission's complete, she doesn't need to do this. She's physically breaking people out of prison. I don't care if it's her mom. That's 1. 2, Jason Statham, the whole movie is about showing that he is a good guy and that he was framed. But really, if I killed, let's use some podcasters. If I killed Taylor Field, right? But then I was framed for killing, I don't know, to make this not morbid, my own family, right? And then it came out that Travis Snell framed. He didn't kill anyone in his family. Someone else killed him and set Travis up. Oh, that's good. Did he still kill Taylor? Oh, yeah, he killed Taylor. Oh, well, he's still guilty for something, right? Yeah, but he helped us out, and he didn't do that big thing. Like, he didn't kill his family, so he's cool, like, right? Like, he wouldn't do that, and it was a misunderstanding. Taylor took his cookie, but someone lied and said he took his cookie, so he didn't really take his cookie. But it's like... He still killed him, still manslaughter, and that's where it's kind of, everyone's kind of chill with it, and that's where the minute details have kind of gone, that verisimilitude has gone. It's just out of there, and that was disappointing. And then, this is what I was going to bring with The Rock, which The Rock I think works for the most part. He has his family and some more stuff. That's fine. There is a huge, massive eye-rolling thing of, they have this, so if you're tuning along and you didn't see the movie, the bad guys, I think it's ETO or something like that, they're just like a Hydra, and that's who Idris Elba's working for. There's a guy on, he's always talking to, all you see is like volumes, like a volume bar being talked, and it's like a distorted voice. It'll be high, low. They're trying to make you think it could be somebody. There was reports that it was going to be Keanu Reeves, but that didn't happen in this movie, so maybe that is the plan down the line. I don't know. At one point I thought it could be Ryan Reynolds. I really hope that doesn't happen, because we'll talk about the character he's playing. But, so there's this virus where it can, like, if it's infected in the world or put out there, it can, like, eat your insides out and blah, blah, blah. So, Vanessa Kirby, CIA, like I said, that's her mission to get this virus. Idris Elba's team show up at the beginning of the movie. First 15 minutes, really good action, fun setup. Who are you? I'm the bad guy. Some good stuff in there. She knows she's not going to win this battle, so what she does, she injects the virus into herself, because... if she doesn't do that, Idris and his team are going to get it. So the whole movie is about how can we get this virus out of her, and they learn, there's a machine that we can use to extract from her. And there's a lot of stuff that moves very quickly. Lots of, like, fast travel in this movie. Just tons. Just the fact, like, how many times they're, like, in British, and then, like, in New York, or then they go, like, Moscow. It's very quickly. So they have this machine, and they got to get this out of her, because it'll plug in her for 30 minutes. It'll take time to extract the poison, put in this tube. They go to the science lab. There's kind of the middle set piece where they get it. It gets broken. What we going to do? I'm not going to get into all the Rock's family's problem. His dad was a criminal. He was part of a Samoa family, his Samoa tribe. His dad was a criminal. He turned him in. Everyone kind of turned their back on him for a little bit, so he left Samoa. But really, they didn't want him to leave. They just felt bad about the situation, blah, blah. So classic family misunderstanding. But he has his brother. I think his name was Luke. And that's the one he had the most falling out with because him and his brother were the one helping his dad kind of unknowingly commit some crimes. And he's like, I know somebody that can fix this machine. This ETO in this world is like, we've had God's Eye, but this is literally a company that brought Idris Elba back to the dead. They at one point opened him up and he has like metal throughout his body. He has this Iron Man like eyes where in Civil War when he fought Captain America and when I fought Bucky and it like looked at all Captain America's moves and it did that. He has that so you can see the impact of a punch, how fast it's coming, blah, blah, blah. So like I said, that machine gets broken, and they're like, what are we going to do? Because the only other option is either you had to extract the virus or you had to burn her alive and get rid of it because it's the only way the virus could be defeated. He goes, I know a guy. So they have to go back to Samoa, and he has to repair his broken relationship. And you know what? I could be wrong because I don't know. But car engineers out there, trust, like, please, in the comments below, let me know. Do you think you could repair a machine that created something that created a weapon of mass destruction? Just think about it. I think the answer might be no. I don't know engineers that well. I'd have to ask Kyle. He's done some of that. But I don't think so. I think they're completely different things. Because his brother, all he does is he went legit. He's kind of running like a car shop. But no, Rock thinks, we can bring in him and he can fix this like really advanced, taking out a virus protocol sort of machinery. So, yeah, that was very eye-rolling, very dumb, very cheesy. Got Roman Reigns in there, like I said, no speaking lines, doing spears. He literally did the ooh, which I love wrestling. I'm actually a Roman fan. I would still boo him because some booking's bad, but you know what? I pull for that guy because he's got a raw deal. I'm glad he's in remission. But that just made it even more cheesy. I'm not actually a big... I'm in select spots, but I'm actually not a fan of wrestlers doing their wrestling stuff in movies. The Rock, when he did Rock Bottom Jason Statham a few movies ago, that worked. It felt spontaneous, and it was like he hadn't done that in the franchise yet, really, to my recollection. But when wrestlers do it, it's just kind of cheesy. It's kind of like if a comedian got onto a movie, and in the movie they're telling their own jokes, but as a different character. Just weird. Just weird. So... this car repairman can also just repair this probably $1 billion advanced technology that he's never seen in under a day. So, yeah. And then I'd say you got your two big cameos. They mentioned some other stuff in the other world, like Mr. Nobody and The Last Mission, but no one from Fast is in here. No really direct references to a character, Dom, Letty, anything like that. The two cameos, you got Kevin Hart as like the air marshal. That was fun. But I think I'm kind of, and this is where I got that vibe, just like, they'll love it just because they love these people. I kind of got the vibe that, let's put Kevin Smith in there because him and The Rock get together well. And also, I think you can say from this film, they have a vibe they're maybe putting together a team of their own between those two, Vanessa Kirby, Kevin Hart, and Ryan Reynolds. So that might be a thing down the line. I'm down to see it. I'll probably see these ones again, but maybe the next one, I don't think I'll actually see in theaters after this one because it was that disappointing. So he's a cameo, kind of fun, just talking about how he wishes he would be out there. They literally do the Infinity War Thor joke of like, this is my voice. Like he's trying to be all macho with Jason Statham. Like, what do you mean? This is my voice. It's deep and like yours. And so, all right. And then the other cameo, which is tough for me to put my finger on, you got Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, great man, great Canadian. One of the best comic performances of all time. Perfect casting for Deadpool. He was born to play that role. He's playing a character in here that we used to work with Hobbs, and his kind of two attributes are he is kind of a, I'd say, doofier, not know-it-all, kind of behind the curb sort of character where he's intelligent. Obviously, he's kind of working with CIA, but kind of a little, maybe not book smart. Or maybe not street smart. That's the best way to say it. And the other thing is he's obsessed with Hobbs in a way where not too like creepy or anything, but just like he got the same tattoo as him, and he's just always talking about how we could hang out or do this and do this together. So those are his two attributes, and that's fine. It's something a little bit different. He's kind of playing more of a pathetic comedy character, so that works, I think, just to change it up other than Deadpool and Van Wilder and other roles he's had. So he has this diner scene where he has to recruit The Rock, and it's weird because on paper, this is the one that was rumored. The two rumors I heard was Keanu and Ryan. We got Ryan. When I heard that, I'm like, this is great. They're building that universe, building that franchise. Let's go. And maybe it's also because a lot of the scenes, they did a few scenes with The Rock, and the end credits, these scenes were not worth staying. That kind of sucked. But they do a lot of scenes where they're on the phone kind of bantering back and forth, like, I did this for you. You don't need to do this for me. We're not best friends. But we are best friends. They kind of have that sort of dynamic with Rock being the one, like, we're not friends, and Ryan Reynolds just in love with him. He's there to set up the team, and like I said, it's a different character, so that works out. And you would think, for me, hearing The Rock and Ryan Reynolds, like I said, okay, you're building that foundation, great. I was like, this is great. This is going to be fantastic. I didn't think they had the chemistry. Not enough as like Jason Statham and The Rock, where even though they had a few scenes, like, I need to see more of these two. Reynolds and The Rock didn't really cut it, and I don't know if it's just because the weirdness of the scene, because like I was saying, they have a lot of scenes where Ryan Reynolds on the phone and The Rock's on the other end, and it's just kind of that, and you can tell they shot at different times because Ryan Reynolds is a busy guy, The Rock's a busy guy. And then even their scenes in person, it just felt like they were trying too hard to be funny, too hard to go for the joke. And because Ryan Reynolds' character could be fun, but I feel like you definitely don't get to know him. You're just supposed to like this character because it's Ryan Reynolds. And I feel this character, if it's not Ryan Reynolds, might be a little harder to like. So that's kind of a chance. And don't get me wrong, I want to see more. I still think The Rock and Ryan Reynolds combination could be something that works. But on paper, you read that to me, I thought that's a knockout. That I'm going to be busting my ass off every minute of that scene, every second. And it wasn't, it was, and they do this recurring joke where the Rock's daughter is older, so she's kind of knowing some stuff about her dad's job, but doesn't want to hear specifics as far as violence, or like The Rock doesn't want his daughter to hear about that. And, Ryan Reynolds just constantly will like say something about the mission that's gross or it's disturbing, like, oh, sorry, I didn't know you were listening, and apologize and whatnot. But yeah, it just wasn't there. It didn't make me pumped. It wasn't even the fact of like, the movie was fine, but those Ryan Reynolds Rock scenes, those were fantastic. No, they're all right, and they just tell a lot of repetitive jokes, and that was quite disappointing. So I'm trying to think. I think I've hit everything I need to talk about. There's, of course, a story, but really the story is just, it's a MacGuffin. There's a virus in Vanessa Kirby. We got to find a way to get it out, and we got to stop everyone from coming. Ira Sullivan's team are always after him, and that's why they end up going Samoa back and kind of make it on their home territory. But that's the movie. It's just there's a virus. Good guys trying to get it out so they can give it to the government. Bad guys trying to get it back. C'est la vie. That's the movie. I'm going to give this... It's tough because I've been going back and forth on 2 scores, and I've been going back and forth on if this is a pass or fail. It's weird. The 2 scores I've been going back and forth on are like almost full point ahead, because it's been back and forth between 6.5 and what I'm deciding on is a 4.9, because I was going the 6.5 of, you know what, I just like seeing some of these characters interact. It's fun. Not every joke hits, but it's a movie I could watch again. I could easily put on, fall asleep to, and be like, I just like seeing The Rock and Jason Statham mouth off each other. But the reason I took that back was just for the reason I said, is like, that's the only reason, and that's why I think if the humor always worked or the dialogue always worked, that'd be great, but I think a lot of times the jokes fall flat. I don't think their chemistry ever falls flat, but just some back and forth maybe do. Except I'd say they have the highest ratio when they're insulting each other. But I just mean even just other quips or them like quipping with Kevin Hart don't always work. So I can give them the 4.9 just because I think it's you've kind of heard me before. 6 is like that. 7 is like kind of I'm not going to talk about 9, 8, 10. Those are great scores. 7 is kind of I have some problems with it, but I still really enjoy it. 6 is I liked it enough, but I had even more so problems than a 7, and a 5 is just a pass. I think I was so disappointed, and I was kind of bored sometimes, and just so many eye rolls for the sake of not that good type of eye rolling you want. Not that, oh, this is so bad, so good, or so over the top, it's so good. I think it has moments like that, but really sometimes I just thought they pushed the envelope too far, and I can't pass it. I really can't, because I didn't enjoy myself. To me, if I go, I felt like I kind of wasted my money, that kind of has to be a fail unless there's some really good moment that saves it. Now that maybe it's the end, maybe it's somewhere in the middle, maybe the beginning started off great, or it just has to be some few great scenes. And that's why you could say something like myself is BVS, for example. I don't think is a good movie. That's a poorly edited movie, poorly made movie. But there are some great performances, and there's some good dialogue, and there's just some great scenes/moments. This doesn't have that. It's just like I said, a almost passable movie, has some performance and people I like, but it's just sometimes them playing themselves. They're kind of writing away stuff that made them special or stuff you could take a deep dive on, like, okay, does Shaw really feel really bad about Han? And does he want to talk about, like, man, I killed this innocent guy, innocent in our world, and he didn't even do anything, and I was set up, and I can't believe that, and I got to atone for those sins. I got to stay alive just so I can make a difference for him. So I could even have seen if Han had some family and going to him, like a Born Supremacy of like, hey, I'm sorry I took a Han. Here's some money, or here's some. Even if they say I don't want your money, just something. But no, they've kind of lost that verisimilitude, that sort of just that homeliness that the franchise had, just the roots that it had. This doesn't have this. I feel like it cut the tree and it's putting a lot of Christmas lights on them to make it prettier. So that's probably the best analogy I've done in a while, and I'm going to end right there. So 4.9 out of 10. I can't pass it, and that hurts. because I was looking really forward to this movie. If they make another one, I will see it, but I think I'd like the theater experience, but I would probably see it Cheap Tuesday. So very disappointed. If you liked what I did, go over to Apple Podcasts and please give us a review. We need 200 written reviews. That would help us hit our next milestone, and we'd really, really appreciate it. So like I said, the written ones are the way to go. We got tons of stuff, but if you want to find everything, just subscribe to our video and podcast feeds, or best thing is to go to Facebook and Twitter, like and follow, and get all the updates there. If you don't want to miss any episode, all the links are down below for the video and audio feed. So until next time, thank you very much for tuning in. But until next time, it'll not be boring.